Welcome to the She Did It Her Way podcast, where it's all about making the ultimate leap from your 9 to 5 and building a business and life you love, all while doing it your way. I'm your host, Amanda Boleyn. Let's get started. Hello, my beautiful She Did It Her Way listeners. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. The days, I feel like some weeks it's like Monday and then I blink and it's already Friday and I'm like, wow, this is incredible. And it really just drives home the fact that there may never be a perfect time to take action, to start your business, to grow your business. The only thing that we know for sure is that by taking massive action today, you're going to be further along tomorrow than you would be if you didn't do it. So I want to offer that up to you as we go in March. If you are tuning in and this is your first time listening to the She Did It Her Way podcast, I want to welcome you. If you are here to learn about how to quit your 9 to 5, you are in good hands. But if you do not want to quit your job, then I suggest you go find another podcast. I'm just kidding. No, this podcast is great. The joke is that people will tell me and sometimes introduce me as like, hey, this is Amanda. She's the founder. She did it her way. And she's the reason why I quit my job. So all that good stuff, but welcome, big warm welcome to new listeners. And as always, a big warm welcome and hug to those of you who have been tuning in and week out. I'm so grateful for each and every single one of you. This is just such a fun journey. I am done talking and rambling. Let's get into today's topic and training, if you will. And this is all about scarcity versus abundance. And this is a topic that is near and dear to my heart because I have worked with so many women and I have experienced the shift from scarcity to abundance myself, whether that be in money or time, in relationships and love. And today I want to dive into this topic from the lens of being a new entrepreneur, because as you embark on building your business and putting yourself out there and doing things that you've never done before, your brain can have a little bit of a freak out. And that's okay because it's there to protect us. Not a problem. What we want then is to have and be equipped with tools that can help us navigate the freak out so that we don't make it mean that we should quit or that we should pack up and go home. Okay. So scarcity is living and operating out of this mindset that there's not enough, whereas abundance is operating from a place of more than enough. And this happens a lot. You can tell if you're in scarcity mode by just how you feel. If you're tense, if you're in a fight or flight, if your focus narrows, if you might find yourself on edge, that can easily be an indication that you're in a scarcity mindset. Versus an abundant mindset can feel light, it's joyful, you're inspired, you're at ease, you're open, you are looking forward to all of these opportunities. And being in a scarcity versus abundant state is really determined by our level of awareness when it comes to our thinking. And as it relates to money specifically, this is something that is really key and it's important. And I'll share like my money story high level. And I've talked about this in previous podcasts. The relationship that I have with money today is a complete 180 than the relationship I had with money 2 years ago, especially the relationship that I had growing up. Is very different. Growing up, it was always this never enoughness. There was always this sense of lack. Money didn't grow on trees. Money's burning a hole in your pocket, like you name it. And so you have probably been through your own money scarcity experiences that have created these beliefs. And maybe you're tuning into this podcast and you're like, okay, I'm ready for a change. So again, whether it's with money or if it's in your business, that's what I want to dive into today because it's important to know the difference and it's important to have the tools to be able to shift out of scarcity and into abundance. Because the biggest pitfall that I see in the beginning stages of building a business is getting into a state of scarcity and not being able to get out because it's a closed loop of scarcity. And it looks something like, as a new business owner, putting yourself out there, doing your first launch, thinking you're going to enroll 10 people into your program, and you either enroll 1 or you enroll 0. And so the brain freaks out. It's like, oh my gosh, like, are you kidding me? I spent all this time, energy, I put myself out there. no one wants my offer, no one wants to work with me. And so then we attach meaning to that circumstance and to that result, and a meaning that doesn't serve us. And we start to close up, we start to tense up, we start to freak out, we can get emotional, and we make it mean that maybe we're not cut out to do this. Maybe I need to make a different offer. Maybe I am just, you know what, someone else should be doing this, not me. And it puts us in this state of scarcity so that every time we go to take action beyond that launch, we take action from a place of doubt, a place from uncertainty and trepidation. We take it from a place of feeling heavy and we're like, is this going to work out? Like, I don't know. Why is this not working? And we spiral out in a closed thought loop of scarcity as to why things are not working. And what's dangerous about this is that if we do this enough over time, we start to really create this habit within ourselves of operating from scarcity. And so then our brain goes out and finds evidence for scarcity. See, told you it wouldn't work. See, told you no one signed up for this. And we start to create that evidence and find that evidence so that we build this closed loop. What I want to offer up today is, again, how do we change our thoughts so that we can not go into that scarcity closed loop, one. And two, if you do find yourself in the scarcity closed loop, I want to offer up a way to think about it so that you can start to shift out of scarcity and into abundance. I can speak to this because I spent the first 2 years of my online business in a state of trying everything and anything. And every time something didn't work, I would make it mean that I wasn't supposed to be doing it. And so I wasted so much time and energy thinking about how I wasn't supposed to be doing that nobody wanted my offers. Where if I just changed the way that I looked at it and the way that I thought about it, I would have been able to be in a position today maybe potentially further along, because I would have taken massive action from a place of being inspired rather than defeated or frustrated. Okay. And so let's talk a little bit about an example of being in a scarcity versus abundant mindset. And I want to first talk a little bit about Brooke Castillo's The Model. So she's the founder of the Life Coach School. And it's very similar to that of Think and Grow Rich, the book by Napoleon Hill, where our thoughts create our feelings that produce an action or that create an action that produce a result. And what I like what Brooke has done with her, The Model, is that she's actually added on top the circumstance. And we all have circumstances in our life, whether that be how much we make, whether that be our family, whether that be where we live. Again, circumstances are facts. Like you cannot argue the fact that or you could argue the fact in court of law. I always kind of mix those up, but it's basically, it's one thing to say like, oh, if you think I'm unhealthy, you think that thought to yourself, that's subjective, because healthy to you has a different definition than healthy to another person. But if you say I weigh X, Y, and Z, what you weigh is a circumstance, it is a fact. And so now I want to bring this into a real life example of being a new business owner. And so take, for example, that example of going into a launch and having these expectations that you are going to do your launch and you are going to enroll 10 students and you're going to make $10,000. Well, you go through your launch and you end up enrolling 1 student. Okay. So here we are. We've got the fact is that you set a goal for 10. And the fact is that you enrolled 1. You can choose to think an abundant thought or a scarcity thought. If you choose to think a scarcity thought, it might sound something like this. Why isn't this working? Only 1 person enrolled. I spent so much time and now only 1 person. Like, this is not worth my time. That's the scarcity thought. The abundant thought might think, oh my gosh, I got 1 student enrolled. This is amazing. I'm going to deliver so much value and help them achieve the results they're looking for. And so because you think that abundant thought, you feel excited and motivated, versus if you are thinking in lack, you feel frustrated and annoyed. And so if you're frustrated and annoyed, you're probably going to take action from a place of lack and frustration, which then again feels heavy. You're going to question everything. You're not going to show up for your student, your 1 student who did enroll. And so the result is that you may half-ass deliver the content. And so your student doesn't get the results that they had expected, and you don't get a great testimonial. And so again, you're putting yourself in this loop. Whereas with the abundance thinking, when you feel excited and motivated and you cannot cannot wait to deliver this value and you cannot wait to help them get the results that they're looking for, the action you take is light. It's massive. You show up, you move faster. And your student has massive success in your program that then he or she provides you a testimonial, which then goes on your sales page, which then is used in your next launch. And so it becomes this snowball effect. And so if you find yourself right now and you are launching your business and you feel like nothing's working and you launched, but you didn't get the results that you had, I want you to really take a step back and write out the circumstance. What are the facts about this situation? What were you thinking? How do you want to think on purpose to create that feeling and emotion so that you can take action from a place of abundance and produce a result that helps you move forward rather than stay stagnant or end it altogether, okay? If you are finding yourself like, okay, Amanda, I know exactly what you're talking about. This makes total sense. My gosh, I really feel like I'm caught in this closed thought loop of scarcity. Here's what I want you to think about. There's a couple different things. One is know that if you find yourself in this closed thought loop, breaking out of that thought loop can be a little bit challenging. It's this idea of 0 to 1. 0 to 1 can always be is oftentimes the hardest because you're paving the way, you're clearing the way. We just got so much amount of snow in Chicago the past few weeks. And I was out shoveling after one night of 6 or 8 inches of snowfall. And when I was taking that shovel and I was clearing the pathway on the sidewalk, that first go at it was so heavy. It was hard. It was frustrating. It was, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm out here right now, right? But it's knowing that when you go from 0 to 1, when you clear that path, it begins to get easier for you to continue to make the connections, to clear the path. Your neural networks in your brain are being rewired because what fires together, wires together. And a book I recommend is by Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, because he talks about how if we get into a state of mind and it's this closed loop state of mind, breaking that habit of being ourselves, it takes conscientious work. And it takes deliberate practice and it takes us showing up every single day, even though we don't think that things are happening or changing, in which they really truly are. And I want to say I resonate with that so much because there was a period of time where I was in this scarcity mindset where I'd look at my bank account and I'm like, why isn't there more money in it? Oh my gosh, how am I still here? Oh my gosh, I should be further along. All of the shoulds, okay? If you are thinking the shoulds, or you're looking at your bank account and you're looking at your bank account and thinking why is there not more money? One way and another tool to shift out of scarcity and lack and into abundance is being grateful for what is. What really changed for me was not looking at my bank account and looking at the debt and freaking out and saying, why isn't there more money or I shouldn't be in debt? It was deciding ahead of time who I wanted to be in the future. And the person who I was in the future wasn't focused on debt. She was focused on growth. And she was also very grateful for what she had in the present moment. That changed everything because even when you go in, and right now, if you go into your bank account and you're like, I'm not really super excited about the money that's in there, and I really think that I should be further along, that goes back to that deliberate practice. Open up, think about what do you feel before you go ahead and open up your bank account? What are the feelings? What are the thoughts that come up? How can you change that thought to really shift out of scarcity and into abundance? And one way is simply just being grateful for what is. One of the things one of my coach talks about in Life Coach is that if you are not happy with the weight that you're at, rather than trying to go from a thought of, I don't like my body to I love my body, you go from the thought of I don't like my body to I have a body, right? So if you can't find yourself going from oh my gosh, I'm so frustrated by the amount of money in my account, there should be more, to the, oh my gosh, I love my money, right? If that thought's too much, it's simply finding that intermediate transition thought that allows you to get to that abundant place. And so maybe it's a sufficiency thought. I'm so grateful I have enough money to be able to cover my expenses. I'm so grateful for that, right? Because being grateful is a vibrational energy, and that vibrational energy is different than one that is of scarcity and lack. And oftentimes I have found in myself, and then also working with students, is that we think that we can punish ourselves into getting results that we want. So if we're mean or we shame or we freak out and we have that type of dynamic and relationship with ourselves, that we're going to somehow get ourselves into producing the result that we want. And so let's take money, for example. If we look at our bank account and it's not where we want it to be, and we somehow punish ourselves like, Amanda, you're terrible, you should be further along. And we think that punishing ourselves might get us into taking action to get us the results that we want. It's actually quite backwards, because that level and energetic level of shame and frustration is not the same vibrational level that of gratitude and abundance. And so I really encourage you, if you take only a few, like 1 or 2 things away from today's episode, is how can I practice more gratitude and be thankful for what I have and what is in order to attract more abundance into my world? That's one. The second piece is, and I haven't talked about this yet, is there is a difference between human value and economic value. And as you're starting your business and you're shifting out of being an employee for a corporate company and then becoming your own boss, those can get crossed. So human value is that you are already worthy and valuable because you are a human being. You don't need to make more money. You don't need to look a certain way. You don't need to weigh a certain amount. You don't need to do anything. You are already worthy. That's your human value. The economic value is I'm going to go out and produce something and be of service economically to the world. And in return, I'm going to make money. The danger is that it can be so easy to wrap the human and the economic value into one. And so that when we have a failed launch, when no one signs up for our services, we attach the lack, quote unquote, to our value as human beings. And so I want to offer that up to you, that if you are out there and you are just hustling and you are focused on like creating in your business and you're putting yourself out there, to be really keenly aware to not confuse your value as a human and the economic value of your business and what it is that you offer. And then I got a third thing that I'm going to leave you with, is that when we put our first offer out there, and I'm certainly guilty of this like years ago, put an offer out there, go through a launch, have that one person sign up, and we expected 10. The habit and the default is that, oh my gosh, I need to relaunch the program. I need to change the offer. I need to change the product. When what I encourage you to do is that it's probably not the product that needs to be changed. It's probably the marketing that needs to be changed. So before you spend time and energy in thinking that your product is terrible or that no one wants it, I encourage you to stick with that product, change the marketing, because marketing is what sells. The success stories is part of the marketing, and those sell. Because when your customers or your prospects or your clients go to your sales page and they see someone with the same story as themselves, and they see themselves in the successes of your clients, that is marketing. That's going to help them see themselves in your clients and say, you know what, I can do this too. Okay, I can launch a podcast. I can launch a blog. She had the same challenges. She didn't have a lot of time, but she did it. So can I, right? That's all marketing. Okay. All right. That is the lesson that I have for you this week. And also like some takeaways, I think like the first, if I were to give homework for this episode, is 1, just become aware of where you might be in scarcity, where you might be in lack. And then 2, practice that gratitude. Okay. And 3, be aware of not intermingling your human value for your economic value. And lastly, if you're interested in diving deeper into this work and you are someone who has been side hustling for far too long and you're ready to go all in and building your business and quitting your 9-to-5, definitely head on over, check out Elevate University. We're adding things all the time. This month, it's all about money and abundance. So there's an entire course on that. You get courses from previous months as well. And we're adding a Facebook group component so that you can find community from women all over the world who are doing exactly what you're doing, and just to normalize it. You're not alone. If you are listening to this podcast and you are like going into work on your drive, or you are just about to sit down and do your work at home, like there are so many thousands, millions of other women who are out there that are also like building and hustling and growing their business on the side of their full-time job. So you don't have to do it alone, and you are not alone. Okay. All right. I will see you guys next week, and I'm so excited. And until next time, keep doing it your way.
If you enjoyed today's podcast episode, you can head on over to shediditherway.com, where you can access the entire vault of She Did It Her Way podcast episodes. And you can also access free trainings and resources all about how to make the ultimate leap from your 9-to-5. And if you enjoyed today's podcast episode, I would be so grateful if you headed on over to iTunes and left a review letting me know what you love about the She Did It Her Way podcast. Until next time, keep doing it your way.